Bonjour and welcome to Fabulously Delicious, the French food podcast, your insider's pass to the irresistible world of French cuisine, where every episode uncovers the rich stories, traditions and flavours that make French food a global treasure. From the flaky croissants of Paris to the vibrant markets in Provence, we're here to bring you the tastes, tales and people behind the magic. I'm your host, Andrew Pryor. Enchanté.
Enchanté.
Once a MasterChef contestant, and now I'm living and cooking in the heart of France. Each week, I dive deep into France's culinary heritage, sharing everything from iconic dishes to hidden gems, with passion, history, and a little joie de vivre. Today, we're diving into the soul of Marseille's most legendary dish, the Bouillabaisse. We'll explore its origins, the fish that make it unique, and why this humble fisherman's stew has captured imaginations and appetites for centuries. So pour yourself a glass of wine, if you're not driving, of course. Grab a crusty piece of baguette, maybe some creamy cheese or a little saucisson, and settle in for a fabulously delicious journey. Let's get started. When you think of the sun-drenched shores of Provence and the salty breeze of the Mediterranean, one dish rises like a warm, fragrant wave. From the port of Marseille, Bouillabaisse. This iconic soup isn't just a recipe, it's a ritual. A reflection of the region's coastal heritage and a symbol of Marseille's culinary soul. With its rich broth, garlicky croutons and dollops of saffron-spiked roulis, Bouillabaisse is the taste of tradition, simmered slowly and served with pride. Originally created by the fishermen of Marseille, Bouillabaisse was born out of necessity rather than luxury, using bony rockfish that couldn't sell at the market, like red rascus, sea robin, and conger eel. They crafted a hearty stew to feed themselves and their families. Over time, this humble dish evolved into a celebrated delicacy. Today it may include an array of Mediterranean fish, shellfish and vegetables, simmered with provincial herbs and served with ceremony. First the broth, then the fish, or all together in one generous bowl. But what truly sets Bouillabaisse apart from other fish soups isn't just its ingredients, it's the method. The name itself comes from the provincial words bouillir, meaning to boil, and abasser, meaning to reduce heat. That slow dance of temperatures, the layering of the fish, and the generous use of saffron, garlic, and olive oil all contribute to its unmistakable depth of flavour. Whether you spell it out as Bouillabaisse, which is Bouillabaisse, or simply say Bouillabaisse. One thing's for sure, Bouillabaisse is a dish that captures the heart and history of Marseille in every spoonful. The word Bouillabaisse itself is as rich and layered as the dish it describes, with several fascinating etymology roots proposed over the years, all deeply tied to the provincial language and the region's culinary traditions. One widely accepted origin comes from the provincial phrase Bouillabaisse or Bouillabaisse, a compound of bouillir, meaning to boil, and abasso, meaning to lower, referring to the essential cooking method, bringing the broth to a boil and then reducing the heat to let the ingredients gently simmer. And another interpretation links it to bouille pépé, which translates to boil the fish, a direct nod to the dish's central technique. There's also a more rustic origin that suggests it refers to what boils at the bottom, alluding to the way that Bouillabaisse was traditionally cooked in a pot set low over an open fire, allowing the flavours to slowly meld at the base. Whichever version you prefer, they all speak to the simplicity and the practicality at the heart of this fisherman's stew, a dish rooted in action, process, and the provincial way of life. The roots of the Bouillabaisse stretch far back into ancient history, long before it became the signature dish of Marseille. Fish soups were a staple in many coastal communities around the Mediterranean, including ancient Greece and Rome. In fact, one of the earliest versions of the fish stew was the cacavia, a simple bone broth made by Phocians, who founded the city of Marseille, then known as Massalia, around 600 BC. Cacavia, unlike modern bouillabaises, didn't include saffron or the roulette, but it set the foundation for the evolution of fish-based dishes in the region. Even Roman mythology hints at the cultural significance of such broths. Venus herself is said to have served fish soup to Vulcan, though, again, this mythical dish lacks the distinctive provincial flair that we associate with the bouillabaisse today. As Marseille grew from a Greek trading port into a bustling Mediterranean city, the culinary traditions of the region adapted and evolved. Bouillabaisse emerged not as haute cuisine, but as a humble fisherman's stew, practical and flavourful way to make use of the unsellable catch of the day. After returning from fishing trips along the rocky inlets of the Calanque between Marseille and Toulon, local fishermen would gather their leftover rockfish, bony, small and unsuitable for market, and they'd simmer them slowly with seawater, olive oil and wild herbs. This soup of the poor was born out of necessity and resourcefulness, and its ingredients varied depending on the catch and what would be foraged or found at hand. Over time, bouillabaisse evolved from this humble origin into something far more refined, yet still proudly rooted in its maritime heritage. Whilst fish soups are found all over the Mediterranean, like the bourriade and chaudrée of France, the zuppa de pêche in Italy, caldeirada in Portugal, or the suquet de pez in Catalonia, bouillabaisse stands apart. Its character lies in the provincial herbs and spices that perfume the broth, and the particular use of bony local fish, and the ceremonial method of serving. It's broth first with garlicky croutons and the roulette, followed by a generous platter of fish and vegetables. What began as a dish of frugality has become a cultural emblem, and it's celebrated by chefs and home cooks alike as one of Provence's most enduring and delicious traditions. Are you planning a trip to France, heading to Paris, or maybe you're one of the lucky ones already living in this incredible city? Whether you're planning your dream foodie adventure or just looking to savor the best what Paris has to offer, I've got you covered. After years of living and indulging my way through the city of lights, love and good food, I'm thrilled to share all my delicious discoveries with you, my fabulously delicious audience. And if you love French food as much as I do, I think that this book is made for you. Introducing the 2025 edition of Paris, a fabulous food guide to the world's most delicious city. This isn't just an update, it's a celebration of all things food in Paris, packed with even more hand-picked recommendations. The guide now features expanded sections for restaurants, bars and cafes, and fromageries, boulangeries and patisseries. Plus, I've added exciting new sections for vegan and vegetarian options, dining with a view, and a revamped and expanded food walking tour to help you explore the city bite by bite. With over 400 listings, including iconic food streets, gourmet supply stores, wine bars, and more, this guide is the ultimate companion for anyone craving a true taste of Paris, whether you're hunting down flaky croissants, creamy cheeses, or a perfectly poured cafe creme. You'll find it all inside. Grab your copy at andrewpryorfabulously.com, where you can even order a signed and gift packaged version, which is perfect for food-loving friends and family. Or head to Amazon, where it's available in print and on Kindle for instant food inspiration. Bon appetit and happy exploring, mes amis. Preparing a traditional provincial bouillabaisse is both an art and a ritual. It's rooted in the freshness of the sea and the simplicity of the local ingredients. The foundation of the dish lies in an assortment of freshly caught rockfish, such as the red rascasse, the red mullet, or barbette as it's known in France, Jean Doré, or Saint Pierre as they call it in France, The conger eel, which is known locally as the filet, and sea bream, whiting, and gounod, or galette, as it's known in France, each contributing its own distinct flavour and texture to the final dish. These fishes are gently simmered in a short broth made from water or white wine. It's infused with generous amounts of garlic, olive oil, and saffron, the golden spice that gives that bouillabaisse its signature cover. Traditionally, the dish is served in 2 stages. First, the aromatic broth is ladled into bowls, often over slices of toasted stale bread that have been rubbed with garlic and slathered in roulis, a spicy saffron garlic mayonnaise. Then, the tender fish and accompanying potatoes are served either separately or on a platter, or added directly to the broth, depending on the diner's preference. The preparation may vary slightly from one restaurant or household to another, but at its heart, the bouillabaisse remains a celebration of freshness and simplicity, and of course, the soulful flavours of the Mediterranean coast. As with many iconic regional dishes, bouillabaisse eventually became a victim of its own popularity, and by the late 20th century, tourists flocking to Marseille's bustling old port expected to taste the city's most emblematic dish, but what they often received fell far short of tradition. In some of the city's more touristic-driven restaurants, the name bouillabaisse was literally applied to any generic fish soup, often lacking the proper ingredients, preparation, or spirit of the original. Concerned by this culinary delusion, a group of proud Marseillan restaurants took action. In 1980, 17 of them came together to create what is now known as the Bouillabaisse Charter, a formal declaration of the dish's rightful ingredients and method of service, designed to preserve its authenticity and protect its reputation. The Charter is more than just a recipe, it's a culinary manifesto. It sets strict guidelines for what can and cannot be called bouillabaisse. For an example, the dish must be served in 2 distinct parts. The aromatic broth poured into a soup plate, accompanied by the garlic rubbed croutons and roux or aioli, and then a separate platter featuring the freshly cooked fish. By establishing these standards, the Bouillabaisse Charter has become a powerful cultural safeguard, ensuring that this legendary dish remains a genuine expression of Marseille's culinary heritage. It also serves as a badge of honour for those restaurants who adhere to it, signalling to both locals and visitors that what they are about to enjoy is the real deal. Far from being a rigid or elitist rulebook, the Charter celebrates the integrity and the pride behind the bouillabaisse, encouraging chefs to respect its humble roots, whilst elevating it with proper technique and quality ingredients. In a world where food authenticity is increasingly under threat, the Bouillabaisse Charter stands as a shining example of how tradition, taste, and identity can be protected, one bowl at a time. Need a little French flavour in your feed? Well, between podcast episodes, I'm serving up short, tasty videos on the rich history of French food because, well, every dish has a story, and I'm dishing it all out on Instagram. You'll also catch snippets of life here in France, plenty of behind-the-scenes moments, or maybe even a pastry or 2 that I haven't eaten yet. So follow @AndrewPryor fabulously on Instagram and Threads, and let's turn your social time into snack time, the fabulous French way. Bouillabaisse, as it's prepared in Marseille, is far more than just a dish. It's a deeply rooted symbol of local pride and culinary heritage. While the fish stew existed throughout the Mediterranean, the Marseille bouillabaisse is fiercely protected and passionately debated. Recipes vary from family to family, with each household claiming theirs as the most traditional. Local chefs and restaurants often guard their techniques with the zeal of a secret society, and spirited arguments over which bouillabaisse is most authentic are a regular feature of provincial food culture. The American chef and food icon Julia Child, who lived in Marseille for a year, famously described bouillabaisse as a symbol of lean, non-oily, firm-fleshed, soft-fleshed, gelatinous and shellfish brought together in a provincial soup base. enriched with garlic, onions, tomatoes, olive oil, fennel, saffron, thyme, bay leaves, and even a touch of dried orange peel. To her, the magic lay in this combination of aromatic broth and an assortment of fresh local fish. A marriage of sea and land, rustic and elegant. Yet not everybody has been won over by the dish's charms. British food writer Stephen Lister, who lived in Provence, wrote scathingly that even when the stuff is made honestly, the ingredients are not of much importance, because all you are going to taste anyway is the garlic, the saffron, and something unidentifiable which always reminds him of chlorinated drains. Lovely. The renowned culinary author Elizabeth David was more diplomatic, though still not entirely enthused. She admitted she wouldn't be heartbroken never to eat bouillabaisse again, noting that she'd had better versions of similar seafood stews in Italy, particularly along the Adriatic coast. But despite these mixed reviews from foreigners, in Marseille the bouillabaisse is almost sacred, as tied to the identity of the city as it is its vibrant fish markets, its sun-drenched coastline, and its distinctive accent. Whether served in a Michelin-starred restaurant or cooked at home by generations-old hands, bouillabaisse remains a living tradition, layered, controversial, fragrant, and fiercely beloved. Whilst the classic Marseille bouillabaisse remains the most iconic, there's regional and creative versions of the dish that have emerged over time, each that bring their own flair and interpretation to this beloved seafood stew. One such version is the egg-eyed bouillabaisse, a lesser-known name whose origins are somewhat, mysterious, but which may refer to the visual appearance of poached eggs. Black bouillabaisse is enriched with cuttlefish and their ink, and offers a striking and dramatic take on the dish, with a deep, inky broth that's both visually arresting and rich in umami flavour. But then in contrast, there's the Parisian bouillabaisse, which deviates from its Mediterranean roots by incorporating butter, as you do, lending to a creamier, more luxurious texture that reflects the richer tastes often associated with northern French cuisine. And then finally, there's the most opulent variation of the bouillabaisse, the royal bouillabaisse, which elevates the dish to celebratory heights with the addition of luxurious shellfish such as lobsters and prawns, transforming the humble fisherman's stew into a dish fit for royalty. What sets bouillabaisse apart from other seafood stews found across the Mediterranean and beyond is a combination of the ingredients, the technique, and the presentation that's deeply rooted in the culinary traditions of Marseille. Unlike generic fish stews, a true bouillabaisse relies on specific bony Mediterranean fish. That contributes to a distinct depth of flavour and texture to the broth. These fish are typically added one at a time based on their firmness and their cooking times, and that ensures that each piece maintains its integrity while enriching the stew with some flavour. And another defining feature is the use of the provincial herbs and spices, notably fennel, saffron, garlic, and bay leaf, which infuse the dish with its unmistakable southern French flair and aroma. Bouillabaisse may be the most iconic of fish stews, but it is far from alone in the rich culinary tradition of seafood-based broths and soups that stretched across coastal Europe and beyond. In Catalonia, for example, the ole pebre features robust flavours built around garlic and paprika, while the Corsican, as a menu, is closely related to bouillabaisse but typically incorporates more shellfish. It's came to the heart of France with Vienne residency cooking experiences. Why not trade crowded tourist spots for the charm of Montmorillon? Stay in our newly renovated 2-bedroom townhouse and enjoy all-day private cooking class with me in my home kitchen. We'll explore local markets, uncover hidden gems, and savour true French hospitality. Whether you're solo, a couple, or friends, these private residencies offer a perfect blend of relaxation, adventure, and culinary magic. Available from May to October, visit andrewpricefabulously.com for details and bookings. Your French escape awaits. Bouillabaisse, the celebrated fish stew of Marseille, has simmered its way into the heart of French culture and beyond through books, films, songs, and even astronomy. In Marcel Pagnol's beloved Marseille trilogy, Bouillabaisse isn't just a meal, it's a cultural emblem. And in the movie Fanny, the character Fanny explains that all over the world, my dear Panisi, everyone believes that people of Marseille feed on bouillabaisse and aioli, highlighting how deeply associated the dish is with the city's identity. The sentiment is echoed with a touch of skepticism in the 1938 film Hercule, where a Parisian journalist quips that the bouillabaisse is not Marseillaise, perhaps gesturing toward the dish's mythic status versus, well, its culinary reality. Fernandel, one of Marseille's most recognizable cultural icons, recorded La Bouillabaisse in 1950. This is a playful song that pays tribute to the dish's richness and character. In the world of comics, Bouillabaisse even finds its way into Asterix, Tour of Gaul by René Goscinny. During their legendary journey through Roman-occupied Gaul, Asterix and Obelix stop in Marseille, and the ancient name for Marseille, to pick up a steaming bouillabaisse from the innkeeper and bring it back as a prized regional specialty for their village banquet. Here, bouillabaisse is treated not just as food, but as a trophy of French culinary heritage. And perhaps the most unusual nod to bouillabaisse in pop culture is, well, celestial. The asteroid 8523 is named Bouillabaisse in honor of the dish, showing that even in the stars, this iconic provincial stew has found its place. If you're loving this episode and want to take your French food journey even further, then I invite you to check out my newsletter on Substack. There's a free version with plenty of tasty stories and insights. But if you go premium, you'll get exclusive bonus content, including a traditional bouillabaisse recipe straight from Marseille that you can make at home. Plus, by just subscribing to the premium newsletter, you're helping to support the podcast and keep it going strong. So whether you want the free newsletter or the full premium experience, there's something delicious waiting for you. Head over to substack.com at Fabulously Delicious to sign up and join our Fabulously Delicious community. A huge shout out to all the fabulous listeners tuning in from South Korea, the UK, South Africa, and Saudi Arabia. Why? Because I'm thrilled to share that Fabulously Delicious, the French food podcast, has made it into the top 100 food podcasts on Apple Podcasts in all of those countries last month. A special high five to our amazing fans in South Korea, where just last month we climbed all the way to number 20. Wow. Your support means the world to me and keeps the passion for French food alive across the globe. Thank you for being part of this delicious journey with me. Wherever you are, bon appetit and keep listening. Julia Child said about the bouillabaisse, "Bouillabaisse is the essence of Provence, a fragrant celebration of the sea and sun in a bowl." Brilliant Savoie said, "To truly know the region, taste its bouillabaisse, for it holds the soul of Marseille in its depths." And Anthony Bourdain said, "A great bouillabaisse is a dish that is humble and grand at the same time. Simple fish turned into a masterpiece by time, patience, and love." And that's a wrap for this episode of Fabulously Delicious. Did any of today's stories or tidbits surprise you? What was your favourite fabulous find? Whether it's a new recipe idea, a fun fact, or simply a greater love for French cuisine, I love to hear from you. Reach out anytime on Instagram at Andrew Pryor Fabulously, or you can drop me a line at contact@andrewpryorfabulously.com. Let's keep the conversation going, because talking about food is one of the best ways to connect and share joy. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends and family, or anybody who appreciates the delicious world of French food. Your support truly means everything. and helps keep the fabulously delicious adventure alive and thriving. And if you want to help even more, leaving a review makes a big difference. It helps new listeners discover the show, and well, I'd be so grateful. Don't forget, new episodes drop every Tuesday, wherever you're listening to the podcast. So make sure you subscribe and come back to another fabulous journey into French food next week. Thank you for being part of the community. Your passion for French culture and cuisine inspires every episode. Until then, remember what I always say. Whatever you do it fabulously. Merci beaucoup and bon app. See you next Tuesday.